All glories to the assembled devotees. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vayam Pamatasya Vaneshvyapyasad.
Vayam Pramatasya Vaneshvyapyasad.
Yathasa Aste Sahasat Sapatna.
Yata Saste Sasat Sapatna.
Jitendriyasya Mavatir Buddhasya.
Jitendriyasya Bharatir Bharasya.
Vihashrama Kriyu Karotya Avidya.
Grihashrama Kim Nukarot Yavadyam.
Vayam Pamatasya Vaneshvyapyasya.
Vayam Pramatasya Vaneshvyapyasya.
Yathasva Aste Sahasat Sapatna. Jitendriyasya Mavatir Buddhasya.
Jitendriyasya Bharatir Bharasya.
Vihashrama Kim Karotya Avidyam.
Grihashrama Kim Nukarot Yavadyam.
Vayam Pramatasya Vaneshvyapyasya.
Vayam Pramatasya Vaneshvyapyasya.
Yathasva Aste Sahasat Sapatna.
Yata Saste Sashat Padma.
Jitendriyasya Mavatir Buddhasya.
Jitendriyasya Bharatir Bharasya.
Vihashrama Kim Karotya Avidyam.
Grihashrama Kim Nukarot Yavadyam. Vayam Pramatasya Vaneshvyapyasad. Yata Saste Sashat Sapana. Jitendriyasya Bharatir Bharasya. Grihashrama Kim Nukarot Yavadyam.
Vayam Pramatasya Vaneshvyapyasya.
Vayam Pramatasya Vaneshvyapyasya. Yata Saste Sashat Sapatna.
Jitendriyasya Bharatir Bharasya.
Jitendriyasya Bharatir Bharasya. Grihashrama Kim Nukarot Yavadyam.
Vayam Pramatasya Vaneshvyapyasya.
Vayam Pramatasya Vaneshvyapyasya.
Yatasaste sahasat
Yata sahaste sahasat sapatna.
Jitendriyasya maratir udasya.
Jitendriyasya marate durasya. Vrihashramati nukarotyam. Vayam brahmatasya vaneshatisya. Yata sahaste sahasat sapatna. Jitendriyasya marate durasya. Vrihashramati nukarotyam.
Vayam. Here. Brahmatasya. Of one who is bewildered. Vaneshu. In forests. Api. Even. Syat. There must be. Yata. Because. Sa. He, one who is not self-controlled. Aste. Is existing. Saha. With. Satsapatna. 6 co-wives. Jita Indriyasya. For one who has already conquered the senses. Atmate. Self-satisfied. Udasya. For such a learned man. Griha asrama. Household life. Kim. What? Nu. Indeed. Karoti. Can do. Avadyam. Harm. Translation. Well, even if one goes from forest to forest, one who is not self-controlled must always fear material bondage because he is living with 6 co-wives, the mind and knowledge-acquiring senses. Even householder life, however, cannot harm a self-satisfied learned man who has conquered his senses. Please repeat. You wish. Even if he goes from forest to forest. One who is not self-controlled must always fear material bondage. Because he is living with 6 co-wives. The mind and knowledge acquiring senses. Even householder life, however, cannot harm a self-satisfied, learned man who has conquered his senses. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung Grihe Va Vante Take Hagaranga Bale Dake. Whether one is situated in the forest or at home, if he is engaged in the devotional service of Lord Chaitanya, he is a liberated person. Here, this is also repeated. For one who has not controlled his senses, going to the forest to become a so-called yogi is meaningless, because his uncontrolled mind and senses are going with him. He cannot achieve anything, even by giving up household life and staying in the forest. Repeat that since I intonation wrong. Because his uncontrolled mind and senses are going with him, he cannot achieve anything, even by giving up household life and staying in the forest. Formerly, many mercantile men from the upcountry of India used to go to Bengal, and thus there is a familiar saying, if you go to Bengal, your fortune will go with you, and your other things will go with you too. Our first concern, therefore, should be to control the senses. And since the senses cannot be controlled unless engaged in devotional service of the Lord, our most important duty is to engage the senses in devotional service. Please repeat. And since the senses cannot be controlled unless engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. That should be one of our fully ingrained concepts, truths. Our most important duty is to engage the senses in devotional service. Rishikesh Rishi Rishikena Rishikesha Sevana Bhakti Uchite. Bhakti means engagement of the purified senses in the service of the Lord. Herein, Lord Brahma indicates that instead of going to the forest with uncontrolled senses, it is better and more secure to engage the senses in the service of the Lord. Even household life can do no harm to a self-controlled person acting in this way. It cannot force him into material bondage. Srila Rupa Goswami has further enunciated this position. Ihayasye harerdasye karmanamanasagira nikilasya yamalastashu jivanmuktasu uchite. Regardless of one's circumstances, if one fully engages his activities, mind and words in the devotional service of the Lord, he should be understood to be a liberated person. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a responsible officer and a householder, yet his service to the cause of expanding the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is unique. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur says, Duratendriya kala sarpa patali patkatadam starayate. You know that one? The sense organs are certainly our greatest enemies, and they are therefore compared to venomous serpents. However, if a venomous serpent is bereft of its poison fangs, it is no longer fearful. Similarly, if the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, there is no need to fear their activities. The senses in the Krishna consciousness movement move within this material world. The devotees, the devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement move within this material world. But because their senses are fully engaged in the service of the Lord, they are always aloof from the material world. They are always living in a transcendental position. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Sadguru Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Even if he goes from forest to forest, one who is not self-controlled must always fear material bondage because he's living with 6 co-wives, the mind and knowledge-acquiring senses. Even household life, however, cannot harm a self-satisfied, learned man who has conquered his senses. So, there's some good words in there. I mean, it does say even household life, meaning, generally not known for renunciance. So, but one who has renounced material activity can handle household life without any problems. So we got the word even household life. However, cannot harm a self-satisfied. Somebody is self-satisfied. Self-satisfied, Atma Rama, self-satisfied. How are we going to be self-satisfied? Fully engaged in Krishna service. That's the only way to go, to become self-satisfied. Pure love of God is the only thing that satiates the soul. So for loving Krishna, which means serving under all circumstances, and not trying to move atoms around, I think you used that, but that was nice. Not trying to move atoms around, then you can be self-satisfied. And it also has this word learned man. So learned. We have to know what's in these books. We have to study these books. We just can't go about life without knowing what the books are, right? I mean, you're gonna really luck out if you don't do it that way. Prabhupada says, devotees are intelligent. You have to know the stuff. You have to be able to preach. You have to preach. Not you have to be able to preach. You have to preach. There's no way out. Prabhupada defines this movement. What is it?
Hey rascal, become Krishna conscious.
That's right. So Prabhupada has defined the Hare Krishna movement as, in one phrase, hey rascal, please become Krishna conscious. So why would somebody say hey rascal? Because they're preaching. Hey rascal, please become Krishna conscious. That's the definition of the Hare Krishna movement. We cannot avoid that. If we're trying to avoid that aspect of What? I mean, that is where it's at. Then you're in the Hare Krishna movement. So, you know, we're all trying to be, not say we are all trying to be big man, but there's a tendency due to this illusory energy from time immemorial we've been in contact with to think that I got to be a big person. I got to have my Lexus. I have to have, you know, okay, one wife, not 6. All right, I'll handle that because it's the law. All right. And on and on and on. And, you know, you got to be big man. I'm a big devotee. But, you know, this concept of I'm a big devotee means you're a little devotee if you're thinking like that. Sorry, devotee at best, you know. So really what we have to do, and when we preach, you know, what Vaisheshika would say, a big shot is one that just continues to distribute, you know, to preach, and then he, you know, a lot of little shots become a big shot. So like a lot of samosas going out, more and more samosas, more and more holy names, Harinam, more and more book distribution. You know, keep doing that long term. That's, and according to Vaisheshika, that's if you want to be a big shot. But how are you going to do that long term? You have to adopt this principle that Prabhupada says in the Nectar of Devotion, I believe, yes. Don't try to be a big man. Just be instrumental to please the previous acharyas. So instrumental to please the previous acharyas. I was in the temple in Phoenix a long time ago, and they brought somebody from India that was a big shot, you know, I mean, really scholar and everything, and he came over here to preach away. And I was shocked. He gave me the class, and there's 2 people in the class, myself and this person. That I think of people, I mean, I respect this person in class, but a lot of people would say he's a little eccentric. I think would be a good word. So he's given the class, the eccentric devotee comes into the room, and he sits literally 2 feet from his face. He got a huge temper, but he's right there. He's going, you know, while the devotee's trying to give a class. I was expecting this devotee to lose it, you know, to blast him or something, you know, just kind of, because he was just, he tried to comment on it and go, you know, just really like pushing every button you could possibly push. And it wasn't like coming from him, it seemed to be like coming from Krishna or something, you know. And I was going, okay, he's going to lose it anymore. But he never lost it. And he just calmly finished the class and started prasadam, didn't have any complaints whatsoever. And it's a big devotee, you know. He preached to thousands, incredible lecture. And, yeah, this is what Krishna is giving me at the time. Yeah, okay. He just took shelter of that and was self-satisfied. He didn't have expectations. You know, my guru says expectations is due to false pride. You know, I expect this new bhakta to do A, B, and C. I expect my husband to do this and that. I expect this and that. I expect to have a good day on Sankirtan. But what is our qualification? You know, we have to we forget. At least I forget. You know, we what is our qualification? There's a nice story of one of Prabhupada's godbrothers who really didn't make the right decisions in his life. And at the time of death, Yamaraj picked him up. The Yamadutas picked him up. And he was going to talk to Yamaraj, going to hell. And on the way, he was severely thirsty. And he begged the Yamadutas if he could get some water. So they brought him to a little pond that's filled with pus and maggots and awful, you know. And he goes, "This is what you get." He's like, I need something better than that. He says, "I'm sorry, this is your adhikar, this is your qualification." And then he went and spoke with Yamaraj, and Yamaraj says, "Well, yeah, you really messed up a lot, but I see one good qualification, that you're a disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And so, would you like another chance?" And the devotee said, "Yeah." And then he went back into his body, gave a little bit longer time, and he really took the devotional service. It's a true story. So, yeah, what is our qualification? So here, we're probably saying, where is he going with all this? But and I'm not following my notes at all. But the practical reality is the real truth of the matter is that absolute 100% fact is one has to be engaged in devotional service. One has to be a pure devotee in order to really accomplish the task. There's no way out. There's no way out. And fortunately, everything's in our favor to accomplish that task. Krishna is in our favor to accomplish that task. He's in control of everything. And it's our true nature to be purely devoted to God. It's most natural. So this is the program. And we see practical reality, one who does follow the program. And we had many bands going to places like Bonnaroo. 17 devotees would show up and work Bonnaroo music festivals, 100,000 campers there. And every one of them is pretty much doing drugs, and it's on and on and on. And we never, ever, ever, ever had a problem of any kind whatsoever, to even the slightest degree, with devotees having trouble. How is this possible? Why? Because they're following the program really strictly. And their mind and senses are under control. They're getting a higher high. We had no problem. Actually, we did have one problem. We stopped by a temple before going to a music festival, and from Pujari goes, "Can I go with you?" I'm like, "All right." He goes there, but that devotee wasn't interested in book distribution and preaching. And pretty sure soon enough, an hour later, he's going, "Where is he going?" "Oh, there he is." Oh, sorry, Prabhu. Yeah? And then you go to these campsites. You go to the campsites, all of a sudden you go, "Well, you look familiar." And then there's some Gokuli going, oh, hi, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Oops. Yeah. Why? Because they're going to Bonnaroo not to preach. The shelter has to be the preaching. We have to be involved with preaching. Otherwise, we're not in the Hare Krishna movement. And how are we going back home to Godhead if we're not in the Hare Krishna movement? Again, what's the definition of the Hare Krishna movement? According to Prabhupada, exact word.
Hey, rascal.
Hey, rascal. Hey, rascal, please become Krishna conscious. That's the definition of the Hare Krishna movement. If we're not in this mood, and we start taking shelter of our family, of our whatever, a new brahmachari joining, and he can go into my van and pay for all the gas money, yeah, and or whatever we're thinking, then, and we're not taken to this, and then every time he's coming, no, yeah, I have no desire for material wealth or followers. That's you can be a big man if you got a lot of followers. What if you can have followers? Oh no, you're not self-satisfied anymore. How many? Oh, you only have 2 disciples? Well, I got 25. I'm a bigger devotee than you. If we're taking shelter in this kind of concepts, this is really, we're missing the whole point, right? Sometimes I travel to places and they're like, "Book distribution's such a waste of time. Nobody reads the books anyways. I'm a big man. You're a little man." And he's like, "God, just tolerate this." And it's like, I think we're missing the whole point, personally. I'm sorry. Maybe it was Krishna's arrangement for me to practice tolerance, or people don't respect, how am I going to respond? But the point is that this is not where it's at. Being a big man, this is, again, the modes of nature. There's nothing to do with who we really are. Because who are we? How big are you? You're 1/10,000th the tip of a hair. I'm 1/10,000th the tip of a hair. No matter what you do, you can't increase your bigness. No matter what you do, you cannot increase your bigness. Nobody can. And you can't decrease it, no matter what you do. You'll always be 1/10,000th the tip of a hair. And we're already huge because Krishna is the greatest, and we're all part and parcel of the greatest. So the greatness is already there, intrinsically there. So really all we have to do is be who we really are. And that's the Mahatma, right? Was that Satam Kirtiyan Tormas? Always chanting my glories, bowing down before me. These great souls endeavoring with great determination, and these great souls are perpetually worshiping with devotion. What's that? 914 Gita. So, this is the program, and we should know that there is. And there was another story that kind of recently happened. That one time again, fixed up devotees, a prostitute jumps in one of the vehicles and didn't waste any time. All over the devotee. And the devotee, just calmly said, "Could you please take your hands off?" And then starts preaching to her. And she was crying because she realized that, oh my God, I can't get this guy. And she was crying away because she was feeling bad about her profession and so forth and so on. And he just kept preaching to her and drove her home. Said, please don't just find a new profession. She went out. So how are we going to have this success? We're getting the blessings of Prabhupada, of Lord Chaitanya. This is the only way we're going to have this success. Not fall away. Is if we get the blessings. And how are we going to get the blessings? We have to be in the Hare Krishna movement. Which is what? What's the definition of Hare Krishna?
Hey, Rascal, please.
Krishna conscious.
There it is. Okay. And there's so many times I've been out there and I'm going, wow, I feel this amazing energy. Where's this coming from? I can't figure it out. And some gals like, I love these. And just like I'm going, where's it? Felt the energy before I even seen it. And then, what's going on? What am I feeling into this stuff? But Krishna protects you. She goes, so what's your name? Paramesvara. He lets me say my name, Paramesvara Das. Oh yeah, I'm the servant of God. I hear the holy name. Paramesvara is the holy name of God. And then I just out of respect, well, what's your name? My name is Maya. Her name was Maya. It happened so many times, at least a half a dozen times that's happened. And the same name is there. It's always Maya. That's her name. And she tells me that's her name. Anyway, and then I go, oh, okay. Now I know what's going on. Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. I got to go. Like that. So Krishna is always protecting if we're in the Hare Krishna movement. Nicely situated. So there's otherwise, if we're not in this, we're going to get into the program of hankering and lamenting, right? Hankering, I want this, and no, I'm suffering because you had a nice class. I'm not getting this to the degree that I want to have it, so now I'm lamenting. And you see this, whatever ashram you choose, brahmacharis, if they're not totally fixed up, they're lamenting and hankering. Maybe I should have done it that way instead. And the householders thinking the same thing. Gosh, so much trouble. Maybe I should have stayed at brahmachari. So it's the hankering and lamenting. But that, self-satisfied, learned man who knows the knowledge, who applies it properly, he doesn't hanker and lament. He's a happy character. And, there's a nice movie, brahmachari movie, that's okay, that I think the San Diego devotees made. And let me know if you've already heard this from me. I don't think you have. So there's a guy and a horse, a cowboy, going through Texas, nobody around for millions of miles. And he hears this, help, help, help. He's thinking, what's that? And he jumps off his horse, runs over and sees this cliff with this beautiful gal, hanging on the edge of the cliff. Help, help. And he's going, wow, I just struck it big time today. Man, I've attained the goal of life. This is amazing. So he runs back to his horse, grabs some rope, and then starts going back to the cliff. And on the way to the cliff, he starts thinking, wow, it's going to be great. But then he starts seeing the future. And then he sees in the future, like he's in a trailer park with the gal who's no longer really beautiful. And he's got demon-like kids running around. And her mother's living right there going, yeah, 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 yeah. And then he just kind of loses his steam and just goes back to his horse and rides away. So that's the brahmachari movie. So the point is that's how we're going to see things unless we're in the mood of serving. If we're in the mood of serving God, then what does it matter if we're in household life or brahmachari life? or sannyas life, or whatever, Manipras life. What does it matter? And it's, again, all that's different is just atoms are different. That's it. It's Krishna's arrangement. Okay, you get this set of atoms in this ashram, and you get this set of atoms in that ashram. What's the difference? One, you're next to somebody with, for a man, you got next to somebody with bumps on their chest. And the other one, you don't. That's about it. What's the difference? You know? So whether you choose to be around someone with bumps on the chest or without, that's your choice. But what's the difference, right? We're just here to serve Krishna, and that's kind of about it. I'm using that play because what was that one brahmachari in the Srimad Bhagavatam? You know, he talks about it like that. Horns. Yeah. And he's thinking that this Mataji is a brahmachari. It's a funny scene anyway. That's where I got that from. But anyway, sorry, I hope that was okay. And just the thought would just be, where can I be more productive in Krishna service? You know? So for some, marriage life is medicine. For some, it's poison. So, you know, where are we going to be more productive? In both situations, you're going to be around a body that stinks. Sorry, let's look at reality instead of fantasy. It stinks. It's going to look bad. It's going to have mental problems, and including ourselves. That's coming from us. You're going to go through all this, and you're going to forget your wife's name, maybe. You know, I mean, I had girlfriends growing up. You call her the girlfriend before you had her name, and they get really mad. You know, right? So that's going to happen. Those kind of things are going to happen, right? Let's look at reality. And so they're going to get mad, and on and on and on. Or they're not going to feel appreciated. They're going to be in illusion. You're going to be illusion. Sometimes it's going to get all weird. So that's reality. So, but if we are focused on serving God, then we'll tolerate all that and just look at it as a service to God. In the Paramesvara Das Purana, I forgot which verse, it states that you're going to have a backpack. You think like devotees, you know, I have to train up devotees when the RBC, and they think it's a little heavy to have this backpack on with lots of books. But so I have this nice verse that states that you know, you're going to have a backpack on regardless, and it's going to be too heavy. You're either going to have books in the backpack, or you're going to have a kid in the backpack. One of the two. You're going to have a backpack. It's going to be too heavy. It's going to be trouble. That's up to you, which kind of backpack you want. You know, Grihastha life or Brahmachari life. Of course, Grihastha is going to distribute books too. So, but the point is that if we are focused and not trying to be God, because I've seen countless beings leave and some stay, and the only difference between those people leaving and staying are ones want to be God and ones want to be a servant of God. That's really it. I mean, I'm sorry, I say this and people get mad at me, but that's really it. That's the only difference. You have a problem, okay, you're not serving God. You're satisfied, you want to be a servant of God. It's that simple. There's always an opportunity. There can never be a material impediment in your life that will keep you from loving God. That's impossible. Never. So you have no problems if you're interested in serving God, ever. But if you're not interested in serving God, you're always going to have a problem. That's guaranteed as well, because Krishna arranges it that way. So you'll learn. So it's just a matter of where will I remember Krishna, where will be more functional. And what I just shared sheds light on, you know, when we take the shelter instead of Krishna, we look for the comfort or the maintenance or the whatever from some other program except for Krishna, whether it be get too attached to a husband or a wife, and we see that being, instead of Krishna being the maintainer or the sustainer, and then we're off track, because surrender means, you know, one of them, accepting Krishna as our maintainer. Now, it doesn't mean you can't have a husband and a wife, but you recognize that this husband is useless unless empowered by Krishna. This wife is useless unless empowered by Krishna. And it's amazing, you have a really nice day of endeavor and book distribution, and all of a sudden everybody's just very respectful to you. Everybody feels so affectionate to you, but this is Krishna working through the situation. And whereas if I don't have a big day, why isn't this person respecting me? I get upset or whatever. Oh, well, I'm not realizing that it's Krishna. This is just Krishna. You know, it's not that we need to change the ashram, not that we need to get a different husband or wife or this or that. It's just simply, let's just serve Krishna with whatever circumstance we're in, and tolerate and recognize that was all this external stuff that I'm blaming other people for, is it coming from them or is it my fault? And you know, the reality is we're dealing with Krishna. If we're really surrendered to Krishna, you're just dealing with Krishna. You're not dealing with material energy anymore. And so we have to recognize that this is Krishna's mercy. And all that love that we get, you know, it's coming from Krishna. You know, or it might seem the opposite of love, but it's coming from Krishna. So what's the lesson? You know, has anybody read 4 Questions? Vaisheshika Prabhu's book? It's awesome. It's simple. It's awesome. It's just awesome. Wow. And I think when I was orchestrating this class notes that he has a thing in there, rather than reacting, ask oneself, what is the lesson? What is the, you get a little, you know, what's the right word? Where you think, stopping and thinking. What's the right word for that? Sorry. My brain's not working so good. And that's another thing. What is our abilities? Recognizing that Krishna is causing all those books to go out. Krishna is causing my brain to work good or not. I mean, when you get older, it's really trippy. You brush your teeth, you know, and then you have to check to see if it's wet, to see if you brush your teeth. You know, your memory starts going, right? Did I brush my teeth? You checked it. Oh yeah, I guess I did. I mean, how many times have I locked the van and then 10 seconds later I go, did I lock the van? I mean, 1 billion times. Anyway, toothbrush thing, maybe that'll happen years from now, but it was a nice analogy that one Swami gave. So, yeah, recognizing that Krishna is the cause of all causes. He's actually causing your lectures to be so incredible. He's actually maintaining this temple. You big, you know, big shot out there with lots of bucks, giving a big donation. Sorry, Krishna's maintaining the temple. You're not. You're empowered by Krishna, inspired by Krishna to put money in the temple. And my books are definitely, I'm not doing. Krishna's doing it, or whatever else it might be. Whatever nice service you're doing, incredible drum playing, you know, and so much stamina, you know, whatever it might be. You're so nice to the customers, you know. Where is this all coming from? This is all coming from Krishna, so we can't really take the credit. But we can take the credit of plugging in, you know, and caring so nicely for devotees, you know, and Mridanga Prabhu doing so nicely, helping out here and there, and so many wonderful things. All your details, the way you put the Nrsingadev oil on there. I was like, wow. I mean, most people just go, you know, but he's really like puts it on nicely, and so forth and so on. Prabhu, so many things. I bet he's going to play Shiva better than anybody has ever played before, ever. Really, I can tell. And Prabhu, such a nice, humble devotee coming around so often. Thank you very much, always, and being so kind. That means a lot. All this is empowered by Krishna. Why? Because Krishna wants me to be a devotee and go back home to Godhead. So he arranges everything. But if I'm out there, it's going to be different. It's going to be different. Or whatever, it's going to be different. But it's all arranged by Krishna. So recognizing this, Krishna is the cause of all causes, then we won't be reactive. You know, we'll realize all this comes from Krishna. And because all this wonderful stuff comes from Krishna, when we made the choice of plugging in, so we could be an instrument for Krishna, which is our glory, when we get the credit. But because all this love is coming from Krishna, he deserves our complete, unalloyed, loving devotion to him. you know, not splayed consciousness, right? The one who is not determined doesn't have that fixed determination, right? Doesn't he have troubles in the Gita? You know that verse? Splayed intelligence?
There
There you go. Yeah, that's it. So, and here's one of the austerities of the mind, you know, Prabhupada, Krishna speaks to Arjuna, and satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purification of one's existence are the austerities of the mind. So this satisfaction, practicing satisfaction. If we practice satisfaction and we aren't upset all the time because what we expected isn't happening, then what we're doing is killing the root cause of our problem, which is this false ego trying to be God. To be satisfied, you really have to accept the fact that I am a servant of God. I'm not God. To practice this art regularly, because things aren't going to go on the way we think we want it to go. It's simply going to happen that way. We're not God. Only God gets to experience that. So to admit that it's not happening the way I want it to happen, and still choose to be satisfied, this is what Krishna is recommending for us to do. That will bring about real happiness for the individual, real true satisfaction, practicing that regularly. And, go back home to Godhead this way. I deserve worse. If we think of it as all awful. Also, it states in here that Krishna says we should be is free from all pains. You know, sometimes we want to glorify ourselves by how much pain I'm experiencing by putting this backpack on. Yeah, pain, suffering. No, but this is actually probably, Krishna says the one who is free from all pains is dear to Krishna. So this is another way to kill that false ego. So we probably ought to start wrapping it up soon, but let me just check real quick. So again, now in order to have this true success, once again, really good point, in whatever ashram you go to be satisfied and have no problems, because Priyavrata Prabhu is trained up by Narada Muni to be quite a renunciant and pass up on the family life. But even Prabhupada said that the brahmachari gets, the person in marriage life who's still brahmachari, in other words, celibate, properly, but not, only to raising kids to become Krishna conscious, that's also considered celibate, and not messing up there, he's even better than the brahmachari in saffron. Because, what is it? Is it more difficult to fast with an empty refrigerator or a full refrigerator? Right? So the person who can fast with a full refrigerator, full of nice foodstuffs, that's person's more of a renunciant. So it's quite a nice statement that Prabhupada made about, better, but we have to be super careful and not, it's encouraged to minimize association with the opposite sex, or at least for a man. I don't know how it works for one, honestly, sorry. So, in summary, we gotta join the Hare Krishna movement if we want real success at this, to really be satisfied. And I don't mean satisfaction by getting upset and then blasting somebody and then I'm satisfied. That's like more mode of ignorance. But really be satisfied because you're pleasing Krishna, truly satisfied, peaceful, tolerant, and all the rest. You have to get the blessings of Prabhupada. Then it all just happens nice and easily. We have to be nice servant of the servants and practicing these teachings. Really reading them and practicing them. Practice the art of satisfaction. Okay, thank you for tolerating me. Any questions? Yeah.
I just had a comment. You were talking about the backpack full of books or the backpack with a kid in it. And I just wanted to point out that with the backpack full of books, you can give them away or you can sell them. And generally that's frowned upon if you do that with your child. So
very good point.
Yeah.
Glad to see that. Understand.
A child gets bigger and the books get smaller.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That too, heavier backpack every year. Yeah.
My question, Prabhu, is you made such nice points and it's such nice to hear a sobering class, very good. So you speak about this a lot over the years. If you're hearing your classes, like we're not God, stop trying to become God. Sometimes we find that we hear this concept of dovetailing, like a devotee, he has such a propensity for a certain type of action, and genuinely he probably enjoy, but he can't give it up immediately. And Krishna speaks about that in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the kind of concept of karma yoga, that I can't just go to the forest, I have to act in such a way. So in that case, Krishna says, give the fruits to Krishna. Don't try to enjoy the fruits. And so I was just wondering, is that trying to be God? That one is like, I have to act in this way. I need to be doing this. If I stop, I can't really stop, but I want to be a devotee. I actually want to serve God. I don't want to try to enjoy. I really want to serve God. I don't want these kind of desires or these, impetuses from the modes of nature. And so how do we speak to a person in that position? Because some people can hear this and think, well, I can't give up this thing just yet or something like that. And so they need to act in such a way, but at the same time, they really do want Krishna, but it's like a blockage. So what do we do in that circumstance?
Well, I mean, generally it's encouraged to just encourage people to make gradual advancement. Like, that devotee was making the deities and had the cigarette pack on top of the deities, Prabhupada seen that yet. And they're like, we'll just smoke one less every month or whatever it was. We're not all perfect. At least I'm not perfect. So there's a gradual advancement program. And that's encouraged. It's not that I'm trying to be God in this gradual advancement program if I'm thinking, to attain the goal and making the proper decisions to attain the goal as instructed by the authorized authorities. Then, gradual progress. Gradual. As long as I'm looking at the goal. Is that all right? I think she is.
Just reflection back to what you said. One of the things you said to me once that really struck me was, I think it was 2 years ago, you said, most brahmacharis become brahmachari to want to become God. And when they realize they can't become God in the brahmachari ashram, they quit being brahmachari.
They try to be God in the grihastha ashram. They can't be there, so then they get divorced and on.
So that was great.
So those people that are holding the backpacks, whether it's a child or books, as many times it's been books, and those devotees get older or they get sick or something, they can't carry those books or give them out anymore, so obviously others are doing it. But then those that are sick or elderly, that have served by doing the books and everything else, what about their care? Because it's like, do we think about ourselves or do we think about others? Even though we're devotees and we're doing devotional service, there are others that are in situations that have done a lot of service, and what kind of care or time is given to those?
Drop them off at Walmart with books and, in the back. I'm just totally kidding. That's all. I just recently.
Maybe that is what's happening.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And this should be given attention, but I'll be honest with you, just 2 days ago, this kind of hit me in the face, this reality that you're just speaking about. Because Madhavendra Puri Prabhu, a great friend of mine, is probably, maybe, I should say this on the thing, but he's going through some stuff. Leave it like that. Physically. So it was like, wow. And then I just spoke with Masanami yesterday about this, and she's like, kind of gave me the real reality of it. And I'm like, dang, I started crying. I was like, wow, this is hardcore. And sorry, I just haven't come to my face to reprocess it so much. But it definitely should be processed because devotee care is so critical. And it's not only elderly devotee care, but even younger devotee care in general. Because so many people have left this movement because they didn't feel cared for enough, let's say. So they were trying to make so many devotees, and then we just, smashed the devotee that we see every day without much care. And then what are we doing? You know? So devotee care, if we have trying to be a devotee of God, devotee care is 100% critical. It's part of the package. So, yeah, that has to be there. Elderly care is one part of that devotee care part. And as far as practical application, I'm not too sure. I haven't thought about it enough, to be honest with you. But it should be thought about. It should be applied. I don't know how much I'm in a position of what I personally can do about it, but it does seem like, I mean, to be honest with you, somebody asked me, some guru asked me, well, what are you going to do? You know, you want to remain a brahmachari? What are you going to do when you get older? You know, it's kind of like discouraging me from brahmachari life. I was like, well, just rely on Krishna. So far, it's worked out. But that doesn't mean that, you know, when I need some care, I think, you know, we don't want to get in the way of Krishna. We want to be instrumental in Krishna's work. So we don't want to go too far into one way or the other. Just somewhere right in the middle. And whatever that is, I don't know, but you've studied it, so please share your concepts on that, please. Take some moments, it'd be great for us to hear.
Well, obviously, you know, there are like Prabhupada disciples and get aging now and are in situations now where they do need that care. And of course, you know, there are different types of care homes and things like that that they need to go to. And we don't really have any within the movement. And so they are ending up outside. There's a few here in Tucson that's now in regular nursing homes filled with TV and, you know, bad food and all of that all around, and they are living like that, and somehow they seem to be forgotten about too. There's not much visitation or much time to give visitation or even thinking about them. And, you know, and obviously their families were not devotees, so they're not concerned about that. So, yeah, it is sort of a sad situation. Of course, everything is Krishna's arrangement, like you're saying, but, you know, are we supposed to be thinking about that as part of Krishna consciousness? Isn't that something that we should also think about? Because now these devotees are at that age now, and it's kind of like the first generation of them being at that age within ISKCON. So.
Yeah, somebody told me yesterday, kind of like when devotees, in the early days when devotees had kids, they didn't exactly orchestrate everything so timely. You know, I had a schedule, but it all, at least some of it kind of worked out. You know, Gurukulas started popping up a little later and things like that. So hopefully at the very least that'll happen. But I mean, I would think this should be a topic for GBC, and they're up there on the lists, I would think. I don't know if it is or not. You'd always write, what can we practically do to help the situation? Should ask those questions. Yeah, because that is a paramount topic for sure. Devotee care is a paramount topic, and this is one that we're going to be seeing more and more of in our faces. And you already are, and I am now, very recently. And so the mind should be processing as to how to improve devotee care, for sure. And thank you for bringing it up. Sorry, I don't have more to share. But we can always write to GBCs. We can always enlist others to write to GBCs. And they hear that from enough people, it's going to be more and more on top of their agenda, I would think. And yeah, and unfortunately, do you have a question?
Whenever you're.
Oh, yeah. And just real quickly, you know, I made the comment regarding, you know, a lot of people think it's tough work, what you do, and so they don't want to do it. So I made the comment also, farms. just tough work. People try it and they don't do it. So, it's probably special devotees to get involved. Also, when you recruiting for such a service might be appropriate. Anyways, there's a lot of work to be done. Yes, Prabhu.
One thing I was thinking about that, because like you said, practical, right? It's like with all these things, like we can talk forever, but what can we actually do? One thing I was thinking of, like, power in numbers, and I was thinking like everybody, is so busy and everything, but then it seems like we're able to somehow or other get together sometimes to go do something, and maybe if even just like once a month or something like that, we were able to organize where it's like we're going to go out in a group to go and see these different devotees, then we'd actually, because it is easy to forget, like as much as I try to say I love or whatever, like Charhasa Prabhu and stuff, that it's easy to just not think about, it's like out of sight, out of mind, unfortunately. So that's one thing I thought of, maybe of like bringing it more to the forefront of like going out there in a group. And then like I've told you, like you were saying about writing the GBC or whatever, the only thing I can think of as someone who doesn't have money or much facility, like if we can ask people, since they know, nationally, like, is there any people that have resources that would want to help fund and bring this project back to life somehow, so that's, and thank you for being you. And only other thing I can think of is being as personal as we can be, and Krishna reciprocating that, and that spreading out too, and caring, like you're so caring, and everybody is here, and so maybe there's more to be said about it. I guess I had a little question, but it seems like we're still maybe talking about this.
I just have one little comment.
Mm.
One comment about the devotee care.
How about a comment and then back to you? Is that all right? If we have time for it.
Yeah, it's just mine's just a real quick
I
question.
want to say that my guru, one comment is that I know one Grihasta lady, she was pregnant and she distributed so many books, and then she had the baby, and then she had the baby on her one back and then the book back on the other, and she distributed a lot of books. Anybody can do books, Grihasta or Brahmachari. And then the other comment is my Guru Maharaj says so many times, it's a very common phrase, he says that devotee care, he says, I don't like that term devotee care, because I think devotee care is a natural result of when we stop the devotee abuse. So much of the time there's, he says, so many devotees leave because they're not treated properly, they're getting blasted, they're getting treated badly. And when devotees learn that, being caring is part of being a devotee, there's no, devotee care is that if you're a devotee, you're caring, and if you're not a devotee, you're not caring. So when someone's kind of treating a devotee badly or a bhakta badly and they leave, that's more our fault for not generally treating them nicely so much of the time. He makes that point quite often, that, quit the devotee abuse. And so it's just important to bring up just on his behalf.
Thank you.
So to change lanes a little bit, well, first of all, thank you for a wonderful, beautiful, fired up class. It's very inspiring. And the humor really, it's just, I don't know, your class, it's so amazing when a class just goes by in a good way, It's just like, anyways, my question is, as you're pointing out, Kirtaneswara Prabhu, such a nice preacher, and we were in the van the other day and taking this nice gentleman to go do sales for the gem show, and Kirtan was speaking to him, and it was so good, just like your class, and just like so fired up, like, yes, like all I want is Krishna and to be able to serve the devotees. And then I chimed in. I said, you can also use your job to serve Krishna or whatever. And then I felt like I kind of dampered it down, because like in a way, just because it was like, it seemed more kind of pure, like what he was saying, and then I was like, you could use your job, but because I was trying to like balance it out with like, it's okay that you're going to work right now. So my question is, and obviously that seems like a good thing. My question is, as far as preaching, if you have any little insight about which kind of method you found, if you found like it's better just like the raw truth, kind of like we were talking about with Guru Dev, because there's this conversation about like, you could water it down a little bit. You go to a program, maybe like a yoga place, and then you're trying to appease them kind of, and then I've heard that like in some devotees' experience, this like doesn't work really. And they found just being really direct and like fired up is actually the way. And I was just wondering if you had any thing to say about that in your experiences of speaking to so many people.
It's funny. If I say it one way, a whole bunch of devotees will be mad at me. If I say it the other way, a whole bunch of devotees will be mad at me. I don't mind them being mad with me. But, really, realistically, though, I think Krishna is inspiring each individual person individually in the heart. And I know one camp thinks the other ones are almost demons, and same with the other camp. It's like really weird. But if we really kind of see more broader-minded picture of it, and from my perspective, and we're all trying to help, we're all on the same page in that regard, and we can help each other. So I don't have a stance on that. Some days I might be super blasting, and another day I'm super like a rose or whatever. So it just, whatever's flowing at the time. And I'm thinking, as long as I'm thinking that I want to be an instrument for God, and Krishna kind of pulls the strings of the heart and so forth and so on. But I think an overriding need that is absolutely essential is to care. It brings up the same caring. If you care and you blast, it doesn't hurt them. They don't run away.
Yeah.
I'm not into blasting, honestly. I rarely blast. Only if Krishna's really pushing it from within, I feel like. But if you care, you really care, and you're being super soft, they'll get it. You're caring. They see you care. You care. Okay. You care. That's the main thing. You really, Krishna wants them back. Like it's indescribable how badly Krishna wants people back, and how much Prabhupada sacrificed like anything, like totally, to bring people back because he's a devotee of Krishna. Like mind-blowingly, dang, And so that's when people see that, they want to help. They want to participate. They have to participate. I joined here. I saw Mother Tsunami and Dasrat work so hard. I had to help. I didn't have a choice. I had to become a devotee. I didn't have a choice. Why? Because of their exemplary devotion. It's as simple as that. That's how we have to be. And all it's simple for us. We just follow in their footsteps. So it can vary. I'm not into one way or the other, personally. But whatever's working, also I take into consideration.
Yeah, I heard your Guru Maharaj say something similar about giving talk class, that just wanting to care about who you're talking to in the class is what gives such a good class, something like that.
Yeah, but also what's working. We really seeing this work or that work. And it seems like it needs them, both camps are good if they could meet in the middle. That's the way I kind of see it personally.
The middle's the best way,
Yeah.
Be middle grounded, we don't, and my Guru Maharaj has been rather successful here. I don't think he's super heavy, but I don't think he leaves out Krishna.
Yeah.
It's not
That's
like
a good example.
It's not like oh, this is super conservative and heavy, and you got to surrender now and give up everything and become a brahmachari and stay brahmachari. And that's for certain individuals that may be the case, after years of being a devotee. But I think for preaching, it's really the care you show and the love you have in your heart, and that's what I've realized. And also the more potency you have. Like if someone is reading Shastra every day and chanting good japa, it's almost as if even if they don't say anything, people will become devotees around them. And if someone is giving amazing classes, but is not there in terms of their sadhana and their own consciousness, people don't become devotees. So it's an element of it too.
We're over time. We have to go. Hare Krishna. Big day. Thank you all for tolerating me. Thank you for allowing me to be here and have your wonderful association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Bhagavatam ki jai.
Yeah.